The Plejaren have nothing to do with the UFO.
Contact Report 860.
It is good. I also feel that way sometimes. Sometimes you don't realize until it is too late that you have said one word too many. It is human nature. On the other hand, I know what I was told, that it should be pointed out worldwide by a separate special announcement, that is to say, you Plejaren have nothing to do with the foreigners and their UFOs. However, this very thing has been mentioned 2 or 3 times recently in our conversations, which is why I think it should actually suffice.
While it is correct that this has been talked about, the committee now finds it imperative, as you should be aware, that it has ordered something specific in this regard. Namely, so that no misunderstandings arise, that we Plejaren have nothing whatsoever to do with the so-called UFOs and their crews. We Plejaren keep away from them and also do not allow Earth humans to observe us through the appearance of our flying apparatus in the airspace. We also do not allow ourselves to be located, observed, or otherwise elicited by the foreigners in any manner, which has been so held since time immemorial. For we Plejaren are not interested in any life forms from this Dern universe realm entering the realm of our Ankar universe realm of creation.
Contact Report 838.
That we Plejaren actually do such things, you cannot know anything about that. However, since this universe in its dimensions separate from ours is the only one in which we also move, we have a certain interest in knowing what is happening here. But we have directed this only towards the Earth, because for a reason known to you we have a relation to it, but not to the other systems and planets, etc. of this cosmos, although our distant ancestors have partly fathomed them. That our ancestors then brought the lineage of Nocodemian and with it his teachings to Earth, that was a decision that was only taken about 190,000 years ago, when the Plejaren settlers on Earth began to cultivate the teachings of Nocodemian. This, while others from the depths of this universe had already been on the planet for a long time, but from whom the ancestors of the Plejaren kept away, which is also how it has remained. Consequently, the foreigners, as Ptah and you call them, had no knowledge of the Plejaren settlers until they were no more. This is also how it has remained ever since up to the present time, with regard to our controlling presence. So it has always been so, and so it must remain, for we are not willing to deal with the wickedness of the state leaders and the bulk of Earth's humanity. Contact with earthly leaders was attempted only once through you and as the first state with America, which we also wanted to extend to Russia and China as well as to all states of the Earth, as we were all informed about it. However, the whole attempt came to a miserable end before everything could really begin, because immediately demands were made on our behalf by the American state leadership via the American contact person at the time, which you had to pass on to us. However, we were not able to respond to this, so the attempt at contact remained unique and unrepeatable, because we did not and never do get involved in demands, not even when they are called state security, as I myself was able to read from the demands that are stored with us. But America is also to be mentioned with regard to war addiction and world domination mania, as it is also guilty as the indirect originator of the corona rampantly spreading disease. This is because an American person was treated dishonorably, had many followers, and together with them, and according to their decision in China with the state leader Mao Zedong, decided on a deal to create a rampantly spreading disease in laboratories, after which the virus was to be brought to America and released. However, due to a laboratory accident, the virus escaped, was released, and spread rapidly, mutating and causing various diseases and epidemics. These claimed a large number of human lives until 2019, without it being possible to establish what the actual origin of the diseases and rampantly spreading diseases was. However, when another laboratory accident occurred at the beginning of 2019, although wild animals infected with the now developed coronavirus, such as foxes, martens, weasels, bats, and tanuki, had already been illegally transported to America, laboratory staff also became infected and died as a result. The rampantly spreading disease, however, was also spread by infected wild animals, bats, and birds. It quickly spread among human beings, and by the end of the year, the epidemic had begun and spread to a worldwide pandemic. What remains to be said now is that all the evil that has been occurring on this planet Earth since time immemorial through the majority of Earth humans is not of the right and only brings death and ruin, destruction and annihilation, which, however, must be prevented by us from entering our dimension. And now,
This is understandable, and so your pardonless action was also unquestionably correct. If demands are simply made before even a conversation is brought about, then all is lost from the start, for such self-importance proves that instead of logic, understanding, reason, and peacefulness, there is always only the opposite up for discussion, also no insight, but effectively only a will to command, a will to dictate, and an attitude of power. Interestingly enough, the truth is that this was also the case with the Giza intelligences, who were then deported by Plejaren, because they reacted in the same manner as the Americans. But that the foreigners should not have known about the presence of the Giza and not have noticed anything, that seems strange to me.
but that was indeed the case. Everything could be done by us without the foreigners knowing anything about it, because they clearly did not even know that the Giza intelligences you mentioned existed and were spreading mischief, because the foreigners, as you and Ptah call them, are
Probably oriented about many things, but not about your presence, because you can completely shield yourselves against them with your apparatus. Am I right or am I wrong?
That is indeed so. Consequently, since time immemorial, they have never been able to detect our presence.
Again, that is correct.
I was already aware from Svat's explanations that the foreigners, who also existed then and even earlier, were not allowed to know about you. But I really did not know the whole of the turning and the effectual trappings. And as it is with me, I never asked to find out more, because my motto has always been, what I do not know will not hurt me. So I also never ask what you have to do and where you are when you have to be away.
That was also not necessary before, but now comes up because you are asking about what comes up and what we have to do in terms of our duties. The fact is that we Plejaren came to Earth very early in ancient times, and were active here, and did many things without making ourselves known in any way to Earth's humanity. And the fact that we do not let ourselves be seen, just as we do not openly appear, keeps us well and safely free, and able to move about without being hindered in our work. This also includes that we strictly keep away from the foreigners, and also do not let them locate us or recognize us, which is also forbidden to us by our directives, but on the other hand also protects us by our technology.
The fact that the time has come for this and that we are now talking about it so openly, I really wonder whether that is clever, because the foreigners, as well as certain kinds of earthlings, would like to know what is being played. Surely it is better if I make my points when I retrieve the report of the conversation.
That will not be necessary, for all that we have talked about becoming known means no danger to you or us. For your part, no information dangerous to our safety can be released, since you never ask what we do when we are away and where it is in each case. Moreover, and I know this very well, you would never let anything be known that would bring harm to us or to you. You are very conscientious and would never allow yourself to say anything that you are not supposed to say.
Contact Report 875.
The important thing here, however, as I think, and it is probably necessary, is that everything is done and publicized in the name of the Figu Association. It should also be explicitly mentioned that we have nothing whatsoever to do with foreigners and their UFOs, and that we keep strictly away from them and do not allow them to locate us in any manner. It is also important to mention that we do not come from a planet in this cosmos, but that our homeworld era is in the cosmos of the differently dimensioned Ankar universe, which as such belongs to the same creation comprising 7 universes of different dimensions. However, as far as the foreigners with their highly developed technology and their flying apparatuses are concerned, as I have mentioned, and which are referred to as UFOs here on the Earth and have been observed since time immemorial, but whose overall highly developed technology from an earthly point of view is very far inferior to ours. We keep our distance from them, and therefore have nothing to do with them. The foreigners are not able to recognize us visibly or audibly, nor also in any technical apparatus radar-wise, etc., that they have not yet developed. They are also unable to locate us or otherwise detect our presence, as are the Earth's military forces, who are so far behind the still very primitive earthly technology that they cannot even recognize the true achievements of the inventions that have been produced since the middle of the century before last. This, just as the technology of the foreigners, which seems very futuristic to Earth humans, is also far behind ours, and consequently, they are also unable to locate us. Not to mention the fact that their technology, which is far inferior to ours, also makes them incapable of penetrating into one of the dimensional structures of the 7 universes of our creation, and therefore certainly not into a dimension of a foreign creation. This is because they lack the knowledge of the necessary synchronization of the dimensions of the various universes that would enable them to change to another universe. It is also known to us that they have no knowledge of the fact that countless creations exist in the infinite of the absolute nothing, just as we know that they have no knowledge of the fact that there are sevenfold and different sizes and levels of development of absolute forms. Our ancestors already orientated themselves about this in ancient times, and consequently this caused our ancestors to exercise caution and restraint very early on, which we also continue to do in the same manner. We Plejaren and all members of the Federation are very careful to ensure that no foreigners from this Dern universe can enter our Ankar universe, from whom nothing good can possibly be expected. We, Plejaren, and the entire number of the Federation are completely and utterly peaceful, so we do not want any belligerent elements to invade our Ankar universe. However, we do not know how far the foreigners, whom we therefore avoid for safety reasons, in this universe we call Dern, are able to penetrate into the dimensions of the past and the future, and therefore also manipulate them. All that is known to us in this respect, possibly to be feared and also the unknown, therefore prompts us to maintain contact and communication with you in such a manner that the whole thing is always and in every case shifted in time and place in such a manner that our presence together with you cannot be grasped by the foreigners. However, we have also secured this with regard to earthly attempts at possible underhand shadowing in such a manner that even electronic devices cannot make any kind of recordings. This is also the case when we move around the center or its grounds, as well as when we are looking for you in the buildings, for example, which is detected by the persons living there under certain circumstances, but the foreigners are still unable to find us out. It is now to be explained that we have also taken precautions, also on behalf of the committee, that after your departure, all data of your photographs and film recordings with my daughter, Simyase, from the past, were removed and replaced by those forgeries that were released 9 years ago, with the futuristic technology given to them, not by us. Therefore, if in the distant future it will be possible to penetrate back into the past, then only that which has already been released as a forgery by will be detectable.